welcome back to Game On. My name is Allison.
I'm Frank.
And I'm Mike.
Mike is our guest today. Michael is my fiance, and he knows a ton about games, which is why his gamer tag is Musaya. So he is the Musaya of video games.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about the Paris Live event, which was a PlayStation event that happens every year, not necessarily in Paris, but there's a lot. There's a lot that happened. There were a ton of announcements. So Mike, I know you're very familiar. Tell us about some of your favorite announcements.
So one of my huge passions, I'm so glad that they announced it, never expected from E3, is Monster Hunter World. Oh my God, this game. Like, it is, since PS1, they haven't really done a huge 3D rendition like this since then. And they made a better control scheme, and they added so many new functions to it. Just the world is absolutely massive.
Wow.
And they have all these different areas, and it's just seamless. So you no longer have to wait in a loading screen to go to another area. It's just straight through everything. And then all the big beasts and monsters are just roaming around for you to just take all their loot. It's so good.
Awesome.
So Monster Hunter is essentially like, it's more like an open world game that you just defeat monsters, get loot, and do stuff.
Yeah,
basically.
so you basically, you go and you hunt a big monster.
Right.
And then you go ahead and once you defeat them, you skin them, and then you make weapons or armors for you, or even your cat feline, of course.
Can I have a cat?
Yeah, they have cats.
Oh, I want a cat.
So
I'm going to play this game now.
It's so good. So you have the cat character as your assistant. And Monster Hunter Generations for the 3DS, they introduced a system where you can actually play as your cat companion. And just the missions were different and everything. It was quite impressive.
Wow,
It's very impressive.
Yeah, it
I
sounds
don't
interesting.
know why I didn't play this, because
Yeah.
I love cats. Like, that would be the only interest I have in this
Yeah,
game, which is
exactly.
also the only interest I have in Final Fantasy XIV, because I could be a cat lady. So, Frank, do you know any other titles that were announced?
Yeah, I mean, we had a little bit more information on the new Spider-Man game, which is something I'm really excited about because I'm a big Spider-Man fan. So we got a new trailer. We saw a little bit more of the story of, what the game's gonna be, and we got some Spider-Man, because
Yeah,
need some
I think
Spider-Man.
Or
they
love
decided
for
to
Spider-Man.
slate it sometime after, I guess what would be Tobey Maguire's 1 and 2 movie.
Yeah.
And they made Osborn's father, he's running for mayor this time.
Right.
But then you have a new crime boss that comes into play and everything. And it's looking really solid.
Yeah, really
Compared
solid.
to the other Spider-Man games, I think the last good one for me was in like PS2.
PS2,
Yeah.
I honestly don't
Yeah.
remember a Spider-Man game that I actually
Liked.
really sat down and was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna play a
But
Spider-Man
yeah,
game.
probably
like,
PlayStation
normally
1.
it's just kind of like, oh, all
Yeah.
right, well, another Spider-Man game's out. It's kind of like, for me, it's like sports games. It's like, all right, whatever. It's another game. No one cares.
yeah.
But this one actually looks
Looks
really
good.
good,
Yeah,
which
this
is
one-
exciting, because
yeah.
you don't get a lot of these like comic book hero games that look
Yeah,
actually
they're good.
interesting.
Yeah, they look interesting. And we got Miles Morales now, and we don't know if you're going to be able to play it. If he's going to be a playable character, if he's going to be like just like a supportive friend in the story. But it's very interesting that they're going in that direction, and we just got to wait till 2018 to figure it out.
Hopefully, as long as they don't delay it. But
Yeah, exactly.
it's looking like it's on schedule,
Yeah.
so that's very good.
Yeah.
So there's one more game we want to talk about. Do you know which game this is? You know, boy.
It's The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
Yay.
Finally, after all this time and all this waiting, everybody's played the remastered version probably 800 times. But they came out really strong with the trailer.
Yeah,
It's the little bit of controversy behind it. Everybody's
course.
saying, domestic violence. It was just, way too much. But the thing about games nowadays and showing a scene like that is they know their audience is more adults. So the average player is generally around 35, which is kind of high, but not really that high.
It's still good.
It's very good. I mean, it's what we grew up with. It seems like it's mostly our generation.
We also don't know the context of the game yet. Well, we know the basic what the game is about, but we don't know the context of what they really showed. So I know when they go more into it, it'll be.
So you see, I forget her name. Wow, that's horrible. But she's grown up now,
Yeah.
and she goes to what seems to be just this small section of a camp, and then she shows 2 other people that are, one's being held captive, and it doesn't seem like there's any relation between them. They just kind of happen to walk into each other, and it's just the first thing, immediately pin one down and hammer right into the arm. It was quite intense.
That was very gruesome.
Quite gruesome.
It's kind of like that Walking Dead feel towards what we have now.
Which is exciting, because you don't see a lot of games that have that.
Right.
Exactly, and that's the whole thing behind it. It's more for the mature audience and everything like that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty solid, especially with the game engines that they have out nowadays.
Speaking of that, we are going to be talking about horror games next, which, because of the Halloween season, we can't not touch on horror games.
It's still Halloween.
Yeah, it is still Halloween. It's only a couple days past, but it's still Halloween, at least in my eyes. So don't go away. Next segment, we're going to be talking about horror games, so stick around. Hey guys, and welcome back to Game On. So, it's spoopy season.
Spooky season.
Spooky, scary skeleton
Spoopy,
season.
scary skeleton season. We're going to be talking about horror games.
Horror games.
Do you guys play horror games? Are you familiar with horror games? What do you think about them, like, in general? Frank, what do you think?
Okay, so I appreciate a good horror game, but I'm not like very much a fan of horror, because I'm like, very squeamish, and I scream a lot. So I enjoy a good one, but I sometimes, it's not my cup of tea. That's what I'm trying to say. I enjoy them, but it's like, okay, I keep a distance.
I'm kind of the same way. I'm very skittish, and I tend to get scared very easily. Like, if I'm in the movie theater and something is too loud, I will jump. I jump like 3 feet high in the air.
Well,
so
that's the sound.
I more enjoy watching other people watch the game
Right.
or play the game, so that I don't have to worry about getting jump scared, because I'm bad with jump scares.
No,
like
me
really
too.
bad. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But I know Mike is very good with them.
I'm almost the total opposite. I can really get down with a good survival horror game.
Yeah.
So this is why we're couples that I can just watch you play the games and I don't have to worry about getting scared myself.
You can live vicariously through me.
I can. It's pretty great.
There is a decent amount of horror games, especially this year alone. They came out with like Friday the 13th.
Right.
They came out Dead by Daylight. Evil Within 2 finally got a sequel, and that's probably one of my top picks.
Okay.
So there is a lot of good horror games out there, especially this year alone, that came out, and then it's just they keep going with it.
They keep going with
What's the appeal of like horror games for someone who might be like me and like kind of skittish?
Honestly, to me, it's the story.
The story.
It really is the story. Like, Evil Within 2 is an entire narrative story behind it, where you're a detective and he goes through all these nightmares, and he has to go into like this evil corporation, just like trying to look for new things.
So it's essentially like Inception, but horror.
Exactly.
Which is really scary in itself.
Yeah. No, and what you're saying, I think is very interesting, because I think there are some subjects that you can tackle like very well if you are if you're playing like a horror game. Like there's some like darker subjects that are better like that you cannot that you cannot talk about them in like a Mario game or something like that. So you kind of need, like, if you want to go deeper into a different sort of like more adult subject, horror games are especially good for it.
Especially that, yeah. So one thing that was a little upsetting, Visceral Games shut down. EA shut them down, and they were the makers of Dead Space, which is one of my all-time favorites. Once the third one hit the shelves, it just didn't do as what they thought it was, and they put so much money into it, and so they were like, we're going to go away from that. But Dead Space was just totally out of this world. I mean, it was out of this world.
It was pretty like innovative for like a horror game. It wasn't necessarily horror; it was more like suspense.
Yeah.
But those types of games are amazing.
Yeah.
Just in itself, like to get so invested in these worlds, just to get like the pants scared off of you is just, interesting in itself.
It's very rich lore when you get past all the jump scares. Yeah.
I
did
play some Dead Space.
Okay.
I was not happy about it because I got scared, but the storyline was so good it kept me invested in it. So like I can understand. I'm just still not good with it. I'm scarred from Dead Space. Really scarred from Dead Space, but I not good with those like scary alien type things anyway.
But I mean, it's okay if it's not for everyone, I think the genuine like attraction for horror games is that people who enjoy them, they really enjoy them, and if you don't want to like play them, it's okay. Like
exactly. That's what YouTube is for. So
you can do
exactly what
all
you do.
The YouTubers,
vicariously.
Yeah, exactly.
All the YouTubers do horror games, and it's funnier to watch someone else get scared than to get scared yourself.
Yeah, exactly. That's
which is
true.
why I always wanted to like work in a haunted house or something like that. It's kind of the same thing where you just want to watch somebody be scared but not get scared yourself because you're terribly skittish.
Or you get scared together.
Oh, that too.
You don't know what the person's gonna do when you go through the house or through the haystack and you go to scare them and they go back at you and you're just like,
whoa,
man.
take it easy, man.
Calm down there. So
yeah, it's a lot of fun though, horror games.
It is a lot of
fun.
fun.
So when we come back, we are going to be talking about our favorite horror titles and why they're our favorite titles, even though I've only got a couple because I don't play them all that much. But I'm sure Mike is a fountain of knowledge, so we will be back with his fountain of knowledge for horror games. Stick around. Hello and welcome back to Game On. This is me being Spoopy. Spoopy. Because we're talking about horror games again. We're going to talk about our favorite horror titles. So, Frank, do you have a favorite horror title?
My knowledge in horror titles, it's very limited, but I do have a game that I played recently, which was horror related, and it was Until Dawn.
Very good.
Until Dawn, it's basically like mostly a choose your own adventure type of game, and it's a game where you go through a story through different characters, and it goes through this very
I guess you would say stereotypical
Like
log cabin in the woods.
Some dude, something killing you.
Exactly.
Secret caves with stuff in it. Yeah. It's more like a suspense horror survival game. And the point of the game is to get everybody that's around you through the night, which is why it's called Until Dawn, which is a really great game. It's one of the games that I wanted to play, and I'm not, there's a couple jump scares in it, but I know like the premise of the game already because I watched people play it.
It was really intense. Like there was one thing I remembered. In order to say somebody, if you in the beginning you encounter this squirrel and you have the option to shoot it, and you're just like, do I shoot it or do I just let it go? Like, I don't know. And if you actually shot it later on, you did not have there was a cover that you couldn't hide behind because the squirrel actually knocks it over.
Oh my God, that's
if
so
you leave it
meta.
alive.
Wow.
It was absolutely insane when I found out about that, and it was all about that for the one person and to keep them
That
alive.
completely blows my mind that a game creator would like life or death versus squirrel. The squirrel is making the decision for you whether or not you were going to survive at this one point in the game.
Yeah, exactly. There's like a 2-hour video online where you can watch all the different endings, and if you do what at certain points, what are the main deciding factors of what to keep everybody alive with. And it's definitely worth checking out if you don't feel like playing it yourself. But I do recommend going through it yourself as well. It's very well worth it.
Yeah.
So one of the games that I really enjoyed, I'm not a huge horror person, was Dead Island.
Dead Island.
It's a terrible game in just in the broad spectrum. It was not good, but it was really fun. Like there was a huge grind, and I'm not a big person for like grinding through games, but for like a zombie survival like open world type adventure, it was really good.
Exactly.
But I mean, there were games that were better. What was the game you're talking about that was a little bit better?
I think a better one that you probably would have enjoyed is Dying Light. Dying Light made the systems of Dead Island better.
Wow.
So it's just like it was more of like a PlayStation exclusive, and that's the reason why Sony has that technology to make games and the concepts better and exclusively for them, so it makes you come back for more.
Yeah.
But it had a good level up system. It had a great combat system. It
Probably
was not
wasn't
janky.
as terribly slow as
Yeah,
Dead Island
it's not
1.
as
It was
janky.
good. Like, I really wanted the game to be good, but it was just so slow.
Yeah, Dying Light had a much more fast pace, and that's what it needed.
Do you have any
So-
other games that were that are kind of on the top of your horror
Yeah,
list?
so I mean, Dead Space is one of them, but the Evil Within series recently, it blew my mind how well the story is done. I wanted to know every single piece of file. I wanted to read every letter. I wanted to know what this person was thinking at this time. It was just a really good story that you can get really into, and it felt like a great Resident Evil game because it was made by the Resident Evil makers from 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
So that was definitely well worth playing 1 and 2. It's definitely my top 10.
See, I was watching you play 2, and I was very invested in it. Like, I wanted to play the game, but I'm terrible with these type of games. So I just watched Mike play it, and I was like, all right, sit me down, tell me the full synopsis of this game, and what the heck is going on. Because I have no idea what's going on.
3 boss battles in it, like 3 major boss battles. Like I thought it was going to end at this one point, and never did, and it kept going. I was just like, I am so happy.
I just remember him, like, at random points being like, what are you? What are you?
Oh my God, you don't exist. Why do you
What are
exist?
you doing here? I shouldn't be here. I'm like, okay, this game is interesting just to see him squirm around like that.
That's the best part, was the fact that most survival horror games I don't really get squeamish about, or it's squeamish.
It's good.
But,
Squeamish, that works. I mean,
yeah. But I played Assassin's Creed, the new one, Origins, and there was a part where I'm going through a tomb, and there was just a random snake in a corner. Freaked the hell out of me. I was terrified. I was like, no, I'm sorry, I can't deal with this right now.
See, that's me with all jump scares forever. So that's pretty funny, though. I like when games kind of incorporate those little jump scares, even though I'm like absolutely terrified of them, and I get really upset and turn the game off.
Especially when it's not even meant to be a horror game. It's
Assassin's Creed, and it's a snake.
Assassin's Creed.
It's just a snake. Like, hello.
Why'd it have to be
Hello, I'm a
snakes?
snake. Here I am. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching this kind of spoopy episode of Game On. I say kind of because not all the segments were spoopy, but it's okay. Because I'm sure you guys embrace the spoopy, and we'll go out and play some amazing horror games. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.